What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a great Tuesday. Hope you guys are ready for week 2 of the 2024 fantasy football season because it's here. Week 1 has come. It has gone. It's a lot of pain, a lot of excitement, a lot of joy, injuries. We got plenty to go over tonight. Anticipating the waiver wire going official for week 2, probably at like 3 a.m. in most of your guys' leagues this morning. So waiver wire questions, start sit questions for week 2, injury updates, what's impacting you. Did you own Puka Nakua? Did you own Christian McCaffrey? Roma Dunze? Jordan Love? Do you own Jordan Mason or not? Did you take advantage of the situation of Christian McCaffrey? Are you going to spend all of your free agent bidding on Isaiah Likely or not? We got a lot to break down. It's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. Going to try to get to every single question tonight. Don't forget, you guys do send a super chat question that will be answered right away. But other than that, let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football. And let's get ready to bring home some dubs in week 2. As a reminder, we have start sits for every single player, every matchup out for running backs and wide receivers already. Tomorrow morning, first thing, start sits for quarterbacks and tight ends will go out. We have must start defenses and streams out. We have our week 2 waiver wire ads, which I have to film that like either right before or right after Sunday Night Football. So there's, some stuff going down in the comment section, some additional stuff. And that's really for a couple of the videos this week because I have to record the start sits before Monday Night Football. And of course, Monday Night Football, when I recorded, it was before Christian McCaffrey was even rolled out. But we've got everything you guys need coming out throughout the entire week. And then obviously a lot of content out for the week already. So make sure you guys are checking out the content and hopefully getting some of your questions answered that way throughout the week. For the remainder of the week, we'll have running backs that will dominate week 2, wide receivers that will dominate week 2, a buy low video, and a last minute waiver wire video coming out Saturday. And we'll continue to stream throughout the week as well. Do everything we can to help you guys have a phenomenal week 2 in fantasy football, which I don't know. I think compared to week 1, shouldn't be too hard of a task. It's an awful week for the quarterback position. I saw that this was the lowest fantasy points per pass attempt week 1 in the NFL in like 3 centuries or something.
I saw there was nobody threw for any yards or any touchdowns. And it's crazy because the weather wasn't bad. So it's like offenses were just bad this week.
Yeah, it definitely impacted a lot of wide receivers, obviously, in fantasy football. But it ended up being good for running backs. So I guess that's the silver lining. We had a lot of really, I was trying to look through and the one running back that really didn't have a good week was DeAndre Swift. I know there were other lower ceiling players, but overall, most running backs, it was hard to find a running back in full PPR that was starting that didn't have double digits outside of low tier guys like Zamir White, Gus Bus, Javonte Williams, but for the most part,
Bijan had an awesome weekend, and the Falcons were horrible on offense, and Bijan had 16 points or something like that.
Josh Jacobs still had double digits, Derrick Henry still had double digits, even some of those guys who felt like they had disappointing weeks, really, let me know in the chat. I really tried to look through every matchup, and it was just a solid week. I think in full PPR, there was only a handful of starting running backs that did not score double digits. Now, I mean, you're looking for a Saquon Barkley type week, or at least a James Conner type week where you can hit 19 points. But for the most part, you were walking away with 10, 11, 12, 13 points at worst. So Good week for running backs, but that definitely impacted a lot of those top tier wide receivers, which has a lot of people panicking. And you had situations like Amon-Ra St. Brown score 4 PPR points, and J-Mo, who I talked about all week, talked about on the offseason, score like 24. So situations like Brian Thomas Jr. scoring a touchdown, Christian Kirk having just one catch. So just want to remind you guys, and I read this, I think, on Friday's stream, but just don't overreact to week 1. And I thought this was perfect. I still have this on my phone. This was last year, a couple of different players here, different positions, but Hunter Henry was a tight end 1 after week 1 last year. This is all after week 1. Was a tight end 1, finished tight end 18. Hayden Hurst was a tight end 2, finished as a tight end 52. Donald Parham was a tight end 3, finished as a tight end 28. Mac and Cheese, remember him? He's on the Jags now. Mac Jones was the QB 2, finished as a QB 31. I think he played the Eagles week 1. Tyler Algier was the RB 4, finished RB 35. Jacoby Myers was the wide receiver 3, finished as the wide receiver 26. But I actually think these are a little bit more interesting. Jalen Hurts was a QB 15, finished as a QB 3. AJ Brown was a wide receiver 26, finished as the wide receiver 6. Josh Allen was a QB 22, finished as a QB 1. Mostert was the RB 17, finished as the RB 4. James Cook was the RB 29, finished as the RB 11. And CeeDee Lamb was the wide receiver 34. He finished as the wide receiver 1. So we have a small sample size here. No reason to freak out by any means. It's going to be okay, guys.
Freak out. It's okay.
I mean, you can if you
watch my video. Freak out. Okay, yeah, it's time to panic. That's what I'm here for. No, I liked. What was there any weird ones this week? Are we? You think Isaiah Likely, is he going to be that guy this year? Look at him.
I definitely think he's worth going in on free agency. Whether you have an early waiver or you're in a free agent bidding format, I think Isaiah Likely's worth going in on, mainly because the end of last year he was really productive too. And I think no matter what, even if he's not going to have that ceiling every single week, but he's going to be involved. Like, I think obviously Mark Andrews, I'm not panicked on. Mark Andrews is still going to be involved. But I think when you look at this team, pass catchers, it's like Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely, and then Justice Hill, I'm not there on Bateman. Devontae Walker didn't even play week 1. Nelson Aguilar is on this team. I think they're going to find ways to get Isaiah Likely the ball. When he has the ball in his hands, he looks great. So, I don't know if he's going to be that guy, but right now when we look at waivers, he's got to be one of the top options. Would say at this point in the week, I'm really going to say, especially if you want an early win here going into week 2, I think you can send the house on J.K. Dobbins as well, because good call, Pete.
I have some good J.K. Dobbins stock, but I switched him out. We played Chase Brown. We still won, though. It got really close there at the end. But, J.K. Dobbins, we were on. This is our Chargers running back, it looks like, even though I think Gus Edwards had one more carry than he did.
Well, Gus looked like he was just a bus and not moving anywhere. I mean, I will say, so, yes, I think you should send the house on J.K. Dobbins because, I mean, you take away 1 or 2 of those runs, Dobbins' yardage total's not as good, right? He did almost score a second touchdown too. But, I think at the same time, the Chargers playing the Panthers this week, I do think Gus Edwards, you don't want to give up on. Maybe don't drop him. He can definitely stumble into the end zone against his defense. But I think Dobbins against his Panthers defense, it's don't be surprised here in week 2 when we look back and J.K. Dobbins has another big game, So I don't know about Dobbins through the whole season. We got to see him stay healthy. I think there's risk, but we know this offense wants to run the football. And we know he has a great matchup in week 2. So, if you're feeling kind of sour because your starting lineup was, Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Kirk, Jake Ferguson, and you flexed Drake London, and you're going for a dub here in week 2. Yeah, send the house on J.K. Dobbins. I will say, apparently, we got to send the house on Alan Lazard too. I
Oh
mean,
no. No. Oh no.
we have to like the. I mean, obviously, the Jets they just have not done enough, right? Like you're in this tiny window, you're on the hot seat, like so badly, and you need someone else on this. That's all I could think watching this game. Like you got Garrett Wilson, you got Brees Hall, and Aaron Rodgers is looking around like, I need some playmakers. And that chemistry with Lazard is 100% there. And the Niners, while their secondary is not the like vocal point, strong part of this defense, and it wasn't last year. I mean, on the road there, Lazard showing up, making plays. Now, granted, the second play was a garbage time touchdown, but the chemistry's still there. And Aaron Rodgers is like looking a little one-dimensional. I think every single pass he completed outside, I don't think the free play to Lazard counts, but every other pass he completed was to the left side of the field. So I think Lazard, while he's certainly probably not going to see that ceiling again, he's got to be the number 2 option here. I mean, maybe
This
Mike Williams becomes a guy, but he was I don't even know if we can consider Mike Williams active in this game. So
their offensive play calling was so atrocious. Like we know the
I can't
problem.
stand
Like
Nathaniel Hackett. I
you got
can't.
to get rid of Nathaniel Hackett. Like why didn't they do it? Aaron Rodgers signed off. Like it
Yeah.
didn't seem like he cared that they demoted him or tried to hide him. But it's like their play calling was so bad. They like, oh, let's do the predictable run on first down and second down every time. Like they should have been throwing early in the downs, trying to slow down that 49ers pass rush and that run defense. And it was just like, it was bad, man. It was really, really bad. But again, I don't think Roberts, like people keep telling me Robert Sala is a good head coach and it's had bad luck because like his defense, like the defense was really the problem last night, obviously. But how do you not address how can you not get skill position players? It should be easy. This Jets wide receiver room was stacked 2 years ago, and then you let like everybody go.
Yeah. The interesting thing is like, uh, if you take Zach Wilson's week 1 stats last year and put them side by side to Rodgers' week 1 stats this year, they're like super close. Super close. And I don't know. So I do think Lazard, maybe don't need to send the house like Dobbins or Likely. I should probably clarify that, but I do think Lazard's a strong waiver option. And then my guy, I mean, this is a little bit of luck here, but Demarcus Robinson's got to be a top priority ad. I know when we look at the Rams wide receivers and what they did in wake of the Puka injury Sunday night, I mean, obviously they threw the football to Cooper Kupp, but Tyler Johnson was very involved too. I mean, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 79 receiving yards, 12 fantasy points. But I still really, Demarcus Robinson's my guy. He also had 7 targets, just did less with them. So I think you could make an argument for either, but I think Robinson's got to be up there, more experienced within this offense. So, and those are probably the players I would be the most aggressive with, unless a guy like Jordan Mason's available. Then I don't care if it's 2 games more that C-Mac misses or 3 or 1. Maybe it's going to be longer. But
I heard at least one.
yeah,
I heard he's out against Minnesota.
Jordan Mason looks like Marshawn Lynch and Isaiah Pacheco had a baby or something. To those of you guys asking me about like throwing Mason in last second, tracking back to those of you guys who asked me, like, are we not concerned about Christian McCaffrey going into the year? And I was like, no, I'm not.
They lied to it. The Niners really
did.
need to be investigated. They completely lied to us about what the injury was. They had him as a limited participant all 3 days at practice, but apparently that really wasn't true. Like, did he put on his cleats and that's like, oh, limited participant?
Yeah, it was a little fishy.
Sus. Yeah, real sus because it's not a calf.
Yeah,
it's not a calf injury. It's Achilles tendonitis. They said, which is significantly worse, I think.
Yeah. So, last player. This is who I wanted to mention. just because he plays the Washington Commanders this week. And because he was fine in week 1 too. Still had 10 fantasy points in full PPR is Randall Robinson, especially if you like or feel like you're hurting in a double flex or full PPR format. I think Randall Robinson, maybe we can't trust him every single week, but this week against the Commanders, I think he's a solid add, and kind of short term, maybe solution. So, all right, let's get through your guys' fantasy questions. Kobe, good to see you. Dante, hello. 4-4 this week. Let's get it. Good work. Burrow or JD5 rest of the season in 4-point passing touchdowns. Okay, so I'm not giving up on Joe Burrow yet. I think this week 2 matchup is like the perfect week 2 matchup for us fantasy managers, considering what happened in week 1, because they're at Kansas City. It's a tough defense once again. It's one of these like playoff caliber matchups in everyone's minds, right? And this is going to give us our answers, I think. And then if it doesn't, they get Washington and Carolina and then Baltimore. So like the next few weeks, we should know who the Bengals are, right? We have Kansas City and Baltimore. Then we have arguably the 2 worst teams in the league. So it's like, we want answers now because we're throwing together our fantasy lineups, but I think we're going to find out soon. So rest of season, do you really have to get rid of one of these quarterbacks right now? I mean, I don't want to be going into recency biasy here, but like right now, I'm like, I would just rather have Jaden Daniels, but we got to kind of see what happens here. Because Burrow's
Jaden Daniels is gonna die out there. By the way, all of our fears were confirmed watching him run the football.
He needs to tighten his helmet. That was one weird thing. Is like there's a couple times he's like barely getting touched and his helmet was coming off. But 28 fantasy points. He's QB3.
Fantasy football, not real football, baby. That's what we like. But oh my god, please slide. He needs to learn how to slide. He's like tumbling. Like he probably looks like your daughter out there trying to do flips and stuff. It was hilarious.
Yeah. He gets the Giants, the Bengals, the Cardinals.
The Giants are bad.
I know. This next 3 weeks for Jaden Daniels is like. Then he gets Cleveland, Baltimore. Cleveland's at home. Like I don't even know what to say about Cleveland right now. That's
their
a little
defense
tough.
Is okay though. The Cleveland defense is okay.
Yeah. But then he gets Carolina in week 7 as well. So like, yeah, there's like
just stay healthy. There's a huge opportunity here, guys. I think.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. I mean, if we're gonna make a decision right now, like I said, I don't want to have recency biasy in play here. I'm just give me Jaden Daniels. Like Burrow, I don't know, man. Burrow's a fantasy headache right now. But I'm not saying Burrow's like, done for in the season or anything. But like Higgins, like might not play this week. He's not going to play until he's 100% healthy. He's in a contract year. I swear, if we get an update that Jamar Chase is going to hold out, and like, I mean, this Bengals team might just be a full stay away from me. So I dropped Chuba for Tank Bigsby. I mean, you could. I guess, but I think you're still going from an RB1 to a handcuff. At least the handcuff had 7 or 8 fantasy points. Like, but I don't think Bigsby is gonna have that type of volume every single week. I might be wrong, but
he definitely looked better than ETN. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's more efficient, and then ETN fumbled at the goal line, like. ETN owner's worst nightmare, but didn't something similar happen last year too at the beginning of the season?
I can't remember that, but like to be fair, that wasn't like a bad fumble. That was just an incredible play by the DB to punch it out.
Because last year, maybe it was a year before. Yeah, it was a year before week 1. He had a bad game. He fumbled, and then people are like, that was also him coming back from injury, or he never played 2021. That's right. So, well, okay, doesn't matter. Point doesn't matter here, but it kind of really depends on the roster here and what you're looking at running back. Like, I mean, I'll say this much: I'm not gonna like be going out of my way to start Chuba. I mean, the Panthers play the Raiders and the Bengals weeks 3 and 4. So like they get the Chargers at home this week. I don't think Chuba's anything more than a bench running back at the moment. So if Bigsby's on your bench, that's fine if that's who you want. If you're like, you got starting running backs and you feel good, then go for Bigsby. If you're kind of thin and you might need someone who, in theory, can at least get volume, then go Chuba. But Miles Sanders had like 5 touches, so
Miles Sanders back.
Miles Sanders season. Let's go. Emil, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Should I use my first priority waiver on Dobbins? It definitely depends on the team, your needs, all that stuff. But yeah, like Dobbins and Likely are my 2 highest priority ads this week. So, like I said, Dobbins, Likely, Demarcus Robinson, Lazard, and Randall Robinson are probably the players I go most aggressive at, unless you got Jordan Mason out there, Jameson Williams. And I will mention, I like Rashid Shaheed. I was surprised he's only rostered in like 44% of leagues. Like I didn't even look at that up and didn't even think about him when I made the waiver video. I think Shaheed definitely, pick up Shaheed. But if you guys have not owned Shaheed in fantasy before, I've owned Shaheed like 2 years in a row, and he will have these games where he catches a long touchdown pass. And I mean, he only had 3 targets last week, I think. This is the Rashid Shaheed experience. And I will mention, like, I liked him in the waiver video, and I talked him up in the stardom set-him video, Alec Pierce. As the week kind of went on, or the last day, I guess I should say, I'm a little more hesitant on Alec Pierce. They try to get AD Mitchell more involved. It ended up going that way. We don't know when Josh Downs is going to be back, and Alec Pierce only had 3 targets in this game. It just, the chemistry looked really good. So I felt good about it after, watching the game Sunday. And then now I'm kind of like, maybe that was a little,
Yeah.
it's week 1, Anthony Richardson slinging the football. And I'm like, let's go, Alec Pierce, So I like Pierce. He's worth rostering, but he might end up being one of these week 1 wonders. So.
And Shaheed, to go back to Shaheed real quick, they're playing the Cowboys this week. That's a really bad matchup. That is a really, really bad matchup. They do not give up big plays.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Yeah, kudos to the Cowboys defense. I was a little worried about how they might potentially come out and play week 1.
They could thank Deshaun Watson for that one.
That's true. You know what? Fair point. Let's move on. If CMC is out, are you starting Jordan Mason over Dobbins? I think you can go either way here. Dobbins has a better matchup. The Vikings run defense was good last year. Once again, was good in week 1, albeit it was.
They looked really good. Like our front 7 looked really good.
Yeah.
Secondary is the issue.
And I mean, I was gonna say, albeit it was against the Giants offense and Devin Singletary, but they still look good and not taken away from them. But at the same time, like, I mean, I think it's important to remember the Jets' run defense was bad last year, and they did not look any better on the road against the Niners last night. But in theory, this is supposed to be a good Jets defense we're scared of. They did not look. I mean, secondary had moments and played good enough, but they were no match for the Niners. And I mean, I don't even know if saying they played good enough is fair.
No, they couldn't even get off the field. Like, there were so many 3rd down pass conversions. Like, there was no pass rush. It was just weird and bad for the Jets.
Yeah. So I'll say Jordan Mason for a floor. I mean, Jordan Mason definitely looked like a player that we want in our starting lineups when C-Mac is out. And I'll say this much. I don't think this is going to ruin Christian McCaffrey or anything, but I think we're going to see a lot more games where we see, when C-Mac is back, where we see both these guys getting touches, I mean, they want Christian McCaffrey healthy for the playoffs, so, and Jordan Mason looks like he's up for the task. But yeah, floor for Jordan Mason, upside is J.K. Dobbins. I will say, I want to be in on J.K. Dobbins. Like, you guys are going to hear me talk about J.K. Dobbins throughout the entire week. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere. So, Full PPR, 2-man flex. Quarterback is Kyler. Running back. Sorry, I was confused. I thought this said running back is half Brees, but it's RB1 is Brees, RB2 is A-Chain.
I like
Also,
half-breed.
Devon A-Chain's hurt, so
Of course, he's always hurt.
chest injury, and Raheem Mostert's hurt. So
He looked hurt though. He looked bad.
Yeah, I think A-Chain's gonna play.
Everybody's hurt. It's a Thursday game, guys. Everybody's hurt.
That's true too. So let me see here. Cup, Devonta, Neighbors, and Tank looking to trade Devonta plus Worthy for Jamar Chase. Rest of bench wide receivers includes D-Hop and JSN. So basically nobody. Oh, this was on you left this on the video today. But yeah, like I said when I responded, does depend on the rest of the roster here. Like I said, I kind of prefer the depth. I mean, I think if you have Jamar Chase on this team, it's fine. You know, you'll have Cup, Devonta. No, you'll lose Devonta. So you'll have Cup, Chase, Neighbors, Tank, which is still fine. I prefer the depth, though. I mean, Xavier Worthy's not going to have 20 fantasy points every single week. Xavier Worthy, another player, if we're talking about week one, like excitement and low volume, he only had 3 targets in this game. And one of the touchdowns came on the ground, so that's, 4 touches, 2 touchdowns. That's not going to happen every week. You take away the touchdowns. They will find ways to get him the ball, but like we can't bank on 20 points every week,
No, he's gonna score 38 touchdowns this year, guys.
He might, dude. I mean, like, I won't be surprised if Xavier Worthy does score 20 points every week. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we got to look at this realistically, I think if the Bengals came out and played well week one, I'd be like, sure, send this. But I'm also really high on Devonta Smith. I think that the thing with Devonta Smith is you will start him every week and he will get you a safe floor no matter what, and the ceiling's always there. I mean, last week he had 15 points, he didn't score. So, you just add into the equation if he does score. Like
he's their go-to guy on like third down situational stuff. So expect like if they find that in the red zone or inside the goal line, that's a touchdown.
And they're such a mismatch because it's like you got to worry about AJ Brown, So if,
they got to worry about Saquon Barkley clearly.
Sure. Imagine if this team had a good wide receiver 3. Like, what would the league do? What if they traded for Stephon Diggs or Keenan Allen? Maybe not Allen, but
I mean, we got Jahan Dotson. We're all right.
Yeah. He had. I don't think a single wide receiver on the Eagles had a target. No, had a catch. I think Dotson had 1 target. So yeah, but no one had a catch other than Brown or Smith, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. But so yeah, getting back to the question. I'm sorry. I think I keep as is. I think the trade is fine, but I think this is a really good starting lineup. Like I said, if Chase came out week 1 and he didn't have a bad week, I think he caught every target. 6 catches, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he's going to be the guy there. Like I think your lineup would probably still be fine. You'd have Kyler, Brees, A-Chain, Cup, Chase, and then you have players to flex and Neighbors and Tank, but I just think Devonta's fine here. Cup just got way elevated, right, for the time being. Neighbors and Tank are fine. And then Worthy's it's the depth is going to be really important. Now think about if your team was impacted by some of the injuries this past week, like I really tried to remind you guys going into week 1, some of you guys would be like, I have 6 really good wide receivers, or, I have 5 stud running backs. Who do I need to trade? And I get you want to take advantage of that, but at the same time, like, just wait because we don't know what's going to happen. And then Jordan Love, goes down, and then, all these things start happening. Puka gets hurt. Tight ends just apparently aren't
useful at all. They're just
yeah. So Jake Ferguson got hurt. David Njoku got hurt. Luke Musgrave is not even on the team apparently.
Jeez.
So Anyways, I would probably just hold if it was me. So there you go. Tommy, what's up, man? Got too cute by playing Zavis over Lockett. Almost lost to you in Dynasty. Good game. I know, man. Ayuk let me down. It was like Tommy was out there when Ayuk went to catch that touchdown pass, and Tommy like threw a pebble at him or something. What did I lose by? Like it was like 6-9 points, something like that. I don't even know if the touchdown would have made it, but it was a good matchup nonetheless. I had points on my bench too. That's why we play the game.
What did you text? You text me like, "Well, I'm glad you get paid $30 million or whatever, catch the ball or something."
Yeah.
Like that.
Poor Ayuk.
Nobody
I don't
feels
know.
bad for him. I don't feel
know.
bad for him.
I do think, if you guys are wondering, I think Ayuk's gonna be fine. Like the targets were there. I'm not panicked on Ayuk. I think you can still start him, but it was like right before the game because I just I know I don't get to answer a lot of you guys' questions on Discord. But one of the questions I answered was Ayuk or Mason in the flex, and I was like, just go Ayuk. And like 10 minutes later, I was like, after the game already started, I was like, never mind, start Jordan Mason. So I felt bad about that one. But literally already had Dobbins and Mason rostered before the start of week 1. That's because you are a genius. Okay. We're not all geniuses. Some of us are just doing our best. Okay. I didn't even own CMC, but I have Jordan Mason. How long is CMC out? At least, I mean, he's probably not going to play this week because the way it's trending.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
So, and regardless, there's not a better handcuff to have in fantasy football right now. I think that's fair to say. Week 1, biggest riser and faller. What's up, cats? I don't know, man. We had a lot of a lot of disparity in both ways in week 1 there. So, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Joe Mixon's got to be up there. Joe Mixon and James Conner are like the two players who were like so obvious at the running back position to draft. I didn't draft a lot of either of them. And I think both those guys are going to be really solid as long as they're healthy this year. And don't come at me with any Rashad White falling. Now, DeAndre Swift, you guys can come at me for. That's fair. White will still be involved even if Bucky Irving becomes a thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I didn't see all the. I mean, I watch NFL Red Zones, what I mainly watch. So my understanding was that most of the touches Bucky Irving got were later in the game when they were already up, which would make sense.
Most of White was very heavily used early.
Involved earlier, yeah. And they're gonna get White involved through the air no matter what, is why I think he's safe. My biggest faller is Zamir White. I'm very upset with Zamir White right now. So
that was bad.
Yeah. But like he can still be fine. But I will say, like, Alexander Madison, like, might be a thing.
But he only had 5 touches on the ground. His like he did it in the passing game, which was that Raiders offense was like gouged my eyes how bad, but
it was bad. I don't think Minshew Mania is going to be a thing. I mean, I don't know if this is fair to say as a riser, but Saquon Barkley, like, I've been like it's not a surprise to me, but I feel like a lot of the fantasy community is like Saquon is
RB1 ?
He was the RB1 this week, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that did not surprise me in any way. Anyway, how do you feel about? I remember saying this a lot early in the offseason. I remember saying, like, this is exactly what I was saying on multiple streams. Nico Collins will be the consistent guy, will be the best option to draft, will give you the safest floor. Tank Dell will be the boomer bust guy who you're going to look. Some weeks you're going to be like, I'm so glad I flexed Tank Dell. And some weeks you're going to be like, we'll get him next week. And then Stephon Diggs is going to be the red zone guy who might also be a bit volatile. And that was like exactly what happened Sunday. But how do you feel about Stephon Diggs getting the 2 touchdowns?
I knew it. Like, you have to he was already crying like 5 minutes into the game about not getting the ball. I saw a thing on the sideline. I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." You have to give him the touch. Like, he's like your child. You have to give him his cookies to keep him happy. So he's gonna get all the touchdowns that they throw, I think. And it's like
Yeah.
Nico's just gonna get open, and Tank Dell will hit the home runs for you. And just to shut everybody up, we'll just give it everything to Joe Mixon.
I really wonder if it's going to end up at, because if it does actually go that way all season, I'm going to be really mad at myself. But
Yeah, that we didn't draft enough Stephon Diggs.
no,
He's catching all the touchdowns. We'll be interested. They got a real test against the secondary this week. I'll be interested to see how Houston looks against Chicago, even though the
true.
Bears are bad.
Yeah, my gut feeling going into week 1, and we talked a lot about this last week, was don't go out of your way to start Caleb Williams. And then as the week went on, or leading up to week 1, I was kind of like, you know what, if you guys drafted him, this should be a good home opportunity for him to come out the gate. And I should have stuck with that gut feeling, because that was my gut feeling, was you just don't want to start a rookie quarterback in their week 1. You just don't. And I kind of stuck with that with Jaden Daniels, and it ended up being the opposite. But I just think you very rarely see a high ceiling for a rookie quarterback in their starting, first ever start, and a lot of times through their first starting season. So Caleb, yeah, we'll see what happens. See what happens. But yeah, I don't know if this answered your question, Katz, but who's your biggest riser and faller, Katz? Let us know. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, their biggest faller. Lost both catch fam leagues by less than 4 points. Also got to win my home league when Yahoo projected me 1 win all season. Let's go. I grabbed Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Mason. Very nice.
Gotta love that. I think I was projected last in my big money league. Last, got like a C- draft grade. I was led the league in scoring.
Nice.
Professional.
You gotta love that. Yeah, those draft
Gotta love
grades.
computers. They're taking over. Just keep telling me how the computers are taking over, guys. They don't know nothing about fantasy.
I don't like AI fantasy rankings, by the way. I hate Walter picks. Can only keep one on my bench. Jeff Wilson, take Bigsby, Ray Davis. Right now, I'd probably just keep Tank Bigsby, but that's probably it. I don't think that I'm not going to overreact to Jeff Wilson. I mean, Jeff Wilson might be the RB1 for the Dolphins this week. I don't know. Like, Jalen Wright was inactive last week. I'm not going to freak out to this Dolphins backfield injuries popping up. Ray Davis, like, maybe you feel like you shot yourself in the foot later in the season, maybe, but he wasn't very involved week 1, so we'll see. I guess I just keep Tank Bigsby, but that might also be like a little recency biasing. JT and ETN were pretty disappointing considering. This is true. I mean, Houston actually played really well against the run. JT saved the day with a tutty, and Miami didn't play well against the run, but ETN saved his day with a tutty. So this is fair where they were drafted. Disappointing. Non-Superflex Dynasty, trade away 3 second-round picks for ETN. I mean, if you're a full win now, you have a chance for the chip this year, sure. I think you don't need to trade 3, though. I think 2 second-rounders is still fair for ETN, especially if you throw in a player. But yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what your strat is and where you're at in your league and everything. So I have 1 or 2 leagues where I just send it like this. And I'm getting a little worried in 1 or 2 of those leagues, including the league I lost to Tommy and that he just mentioned. But I have 1 or 2 leagues where I'm a lot more, I don't really trade away draft picks. I draft young, and so it just kind of depends. If you want to send it, send it. But I also will say in Dynasty, I don't value the running back position very heavily at all. Long-term wide receivers, quarterbacks are always going to be the most valuable. Running backs can just disappear, before you know it. James Robinson, I don't know.
That's a name.
Yeah, poor James Robinson is the only guy I can think of. I've been working on fantasy content for like 12 hours today. So James Robinson's the best example I have, but there's probably
Kareem
somebody.
Hunt kind of fell off real
Kareem Hunt.
quick.
Yeah, sure. That's a good one too. You can basically always end up mentioning somebody. Cam Akers.
Dalvin Cook went from
Dalvin Cook, perfect. Yeah.
elite 1 year done.
Yeah.
I would say Zeke, but I think Zeke's back.
I think Zeke is still fair to say, like from his early production to now, it's definitely fair.
Yeah, but he's back. Don't
he's
worry,
back,
Zeke's
baby.
back. 1,000 points this
Crusty
year.
Dusty Zeke is not so crusty. If Achane and Mostert are both out, is Wright a must flex? Would you flex Wright over Coleman or Ridley? I mean, I'm not going to call him a must flex, because if Wright is active, they're probably still going to have Jeff Wilson active, and then it's just like probably kind of taking a gamble on who gets the touchdown. This Bills defense, I don't want to read too much into week one. Like, I've got all the positional rankings for week one, but you never want to read too much into it. So the Dolphins allowed the 18th most fantasy points in week one to running backs, and the Bills came in at 23rd. So it's a good matchup on paper here. This game is in Miami, so maybe over Ridley. I'll say that much. I think Coleman is a good flex moving forward. Ridley, I just don't know with my boy Will Levis trying to sling it back there. He's going to have Sauce Gardner on him in this game. I was kind of like okay with Ridley week one, and I regret that. I just don't know.
Abandoned ship. It is bad intent. I mean, when the coach is saying we should have punted on first down to win the game, like it's not great.
Yeah. I think other than Tony Pollard, I'm probably abandoning ship, but Pollard volume was high and still enough volume for Spears where you're not worried. So, but yeah, I don't disagree. I'm abandoning ship there. JMO, no take of mine has ever felt so good. You have been riding this JMO take for like the whole time I've known you through this channel. So I'll give you that. But I'll also say I was in on JMO this offseason for sure.
But at what cost, guys? At what cost? We lost Laporta and Amon-Ra. It's not worth it. It wasn't worth it.
What JMO had 8 targets, I think. So I think they're gonna find everyone will be fine. Everyone will be fine. Albert, what's up? Josiah, what are you thinking about Keon Coleman as huge upside? Would you start him over Rashid? Not over Rashid Rice. No. I do like Coleman as a flex, but the Dolphins, they didn't look good defensively, but they're still middle of the pack, the 18th most points to wide receivers week one. So not over Rashid Rice. I feel very strongly about Rashid Rice still. CMC owner in our group chat was saying before Monday's game that he doesn't want to waste a roster spot on a handcuff. Oh, so he swooped up Jordy Mason. Ha. So I faced Pete in the Catch Fam 5, league number 5, and it was either I drop someone and I pick up Braylon Allen or like Kyle Huschek, and I start them and place the CMC, and I was like, I still needed like
30. You needed like 38 points.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just taking
down.
the L. I'm just taking the L. And I think I could have started. I had someone on my bench I could have benched CMC for, but I really was blindsided by. I'm really going to write a letter to Kyle Shanahan and CMC, complaining about the way they handled this. All right, Savvy's got Burrow, Goff, same league, flex one, Ford, Monty, J-Mo, or Brian Thomas Jr. Already have Amon-Ra in, so a lot of Lions players. I'm currently trying to make trades, but you got crickets. So, yeah, any of these guys I think are fine flex options this week. Maybe I worry a little bit about Jerome Ford, but he made up for the day last week. It's a much better matchup this week against the Jags. They looked very poor against the running back position in week one, albeit it was, mainly A-Chain, but Ford, the volume's going to be there. And I said it all last week. I don't think you can really bench Monty. Like, I know he really took over at the end of the game, and without overtime, his fantasy stat line wouldn't have been great, but they're going to use him still. And the Bucs were not good against the run line weird enough, the Bucs really good against the run all last year, really bad against the pass. They gave up the fewest fantasy points in week 1 to the wide receiver position, albeit it was Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and they were 24th against the run in week 1. So now I will say JMO and Brian Thomas Jr., if it's full PPR, I think you probably just flex one of those guys, but I don't really dislike any of these options. If you want to diversify, you could probably go ahead and go with B Tom. I started to like B Tom towards the end of last week, and I don't know if he necessarily scores a touchdown again. They get the Browns this week. They are at home, but I do like Brian Thomas. So if you want to diversify and not start a Lions player, I'd probably go with him. But they're all good options. Alec Pierce was a wide receiver 10 this week. Yeah. I don't know if this one's going to last, but I'm in a 14-man Lost in Joku. Do I pick up Theo Johnson or Atkins? Oh, God. Is Tucker Kraft out there? And I know J-Lo's out, but I think I'd rather have Tucker Kraft. I don't know off the top of my head what the volume was for either of these guys. I know it was bad. I think Theo Johnson he had 4 targets. That was by far the most. They play Washington this week. Then Atkins. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that's the tight end 2 there for Cleveland. I mean, obviously it's not good. So I'd probably just go Theo Johnson because he's playing the Commanders. I don't think you like your options either. Just flip a coin. Do I trade Puka, Debo, and Pollard for Kupp and Ford? No, I don't think so. Now, there are some fears that Puka suffered a second injury and it wasn't a re-aggravation. So we might see a longer
stint.
Yeah. This is a tough one because I think Debo is going to be great all year. I think Debo is a really, really safe start all season long. So, I don't think I do it. I think I keep the depth for now, but it's close. If you want to do it, I think it's okay. But if Puka comes back and is healthy, I think you might end up regretting this one because then that eats into Kupp's target share. I think I would hold, but it's okay if you want to do it. All right, Stephen Drake's at the bottom of the chat with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Reminder, if you guys send a super chat, we will answer it right away. We're really behind in the chat, so going to try and get through as many questions as possible. But Stephen, I have both Achane and Mostert in half PPR leagues. Would you drop Palmer or JSN to pick up Wright? It really depends on the rest of your wide receiver group here. Because and your running backs. Because if the Achane and Mostert stuff ends up being kind of like smoke and they're both playing, then you're going to end up wasting a roster spot and dropping a wide receiver for no reason. But I think also people are kind of looking like if you own Achane or Mostert, even if they play this week, these guys are still injury prone. So Wright becomes kind of like a must add type player. So I don't want to give up on Josh Palmer or JSN just based off of week 1. If I had to choose one, I guess it's Josh Palmer because at least it feels like the Seahawks are going to throw more than the Chargers. So I guess Palmer is my answer. I want to give you an actual answer, but I'm not out on Palmer because of 1 week or out on JSN because of 1 week, but it looked like Ladd McConkey.
Our guy.
Receiver 1, yeah. And I liked Palmer more going into week 1. That was one of the calls I got wrong. But Ladd had 7 targets, 5 catches, had the touchdown, most important. Palmer only had 4 targets. That was such a weird game. Hard to take too much out of that game. All All right, Mason had a bad week last week, lost by 6 points because I listened to the fantasy community, started Dowdle over Zeke. Should I roll with Zeke this week? Yeah. So, admittedly, I probably would have said Dowdle last week. I may have said Dowdle to you last week. The right answer is Zeke, but I have a bad feeling we're going to be going back and forth between these two. Yeah, I called it last week. I don't remember which stream it was. It was either like Friday or Saturday where I said we're all saying Dowdle. I have a bad feeling Zeke's going to be the one who stumbles into the end zone. I remember saying that. Rico had 8 touches. Zeke had 10. Zeke had 2 targets. Dowdle had 1. Not very different here. Rico 3.2 yards per carry. Zeke 4 yards per carry. So Zeke has the tutty. That adds 6 fantasy points. So it's still
This was just a weird game, though. Like
it was.
I felt like the Cowboys weren't even trying to score points after the first quarter. Like, okay, let's just not lose this game. Like Deshaun Watson is maybe the worst quarterback. Our defense isn't giving up a point.
It was a weird game, and I don't know how I feel about either team after this game, other than Deshaun Watson sucks. So
and Tom Brady, not a great broadcaster.
Yeah, Brady was kind of struggling a bit. But let's give him some time. But Greg Olson's still done dirty here for sure. What up? What's up, GT Sport? Do you prefer White or Jacobs? You already know who I prefer every week. It's my boy Rachaad White. And I do think that's I don't know, that Lions run defense did look good again.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams could not run the ball.
Just for some reason, I was like, did they look good or not? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, the Lions came in 7th last week. Okay. Still bad against the pass, though. Now, Jacobs is interesting because the Colts run defense sucks. It was really bad last year. It's really bad again this year. And Joe Mixon is 8th. It's 30 touches. Like, I'm going to go Jacobs.
But
Malik Willis starting quarterback. Yeah.
There are going to be 11 guys in the box against Malik Willis.
Yeah. That does make it tough. Because White, I think White, what makes White valuable in fantasy is the matchup doesn't really matter because they're going to throw the football to him. Like 75 receiving yards week 1 against the Commanders, I know. But Jacobs for a floor, White for more upside. I will say, as much of a Rachaad White stan I am, if Jordan Love was starting, I would definitely say Jacobs due to matchup. So, and that's a home game. The Colts defense did not. I mean, they got the Texans in week 1. I might go Jacobs, but it's really fair to say that how often are they going to be near the red zone? I don't know.
Yeah. And, the Texans, a little bit of a different offense. You have 3 guys you got to worry about. Like, they're covering people. I don't think they're worried about Malik Neighbors over here. Or Malik Willis, excuse me. They're not worried about Malik Neighbors either.
Not this week. Would you prioritize Tyler Johnson or Lazard? I'm going to say Lazard for now because I think with the Rams wide receivers, like, I think there's still a little bit of a gamble here because DeMarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, close. And we might also see Jordan Whittingham coming. Maybe. He didn't really get any work Sunday night, but we might see him start to get some looks too. And I'm also a DeMarcus Robinson believer. But Tyler Johnson looked good with what he was given. And then, like, how long does that situation last? Because once Puka's back in the mix, it's like, situation's over. So, I'm gonna go Lazard. I mean, maybe you could argue like similar thing with maybe Jets wide receivers showing up. But I'm gonna go Lazard for now. How do you feel about Jalen Wright? I mean, Jalen Wright is fine. He's a handcuff, though. We don't really know the full severity of the Dolphins running backs here, so I don't want to overreact here. All right, let's try and get caught up a bit here. We'll probably go for an hour and a half, so about 35 more minutes. If you guys want a question guaranteed to be answered, don't forget send a super chat, but going to try and get through as many questions as possible. All right, Captain Joe King, huge fan. Should I trade Jordan Mason and Devonta Adams for Rice? Really depends on the rest of the roster. It's I know I always say that, and I know it's a pain to type out your roster format, all that stuff, scoring, but it really does matter. Like, I think this trade is fine, but it depends on what else do you have at running back. Because if you have enough depth to where you don't need to start Jordan Mason ever, and you're swapping Adams for Rice, I'm okay with that. But it just kind of depends. But thank you, by the way, Captain. We are a huge fan of you as well. Did I panic and pull the trigger too fast? Got offered DJ Moore for my neighbors. This is interesting because I do think DJ Moore will be better as the season goes on. If Justin Fields can make it work with DJ Moore, Caleb Williams has to be able to, right? Now I will say this: Malik Neighbors is a name you're going to hear a lot from me this week. Malik Neighbors is a must start this week. I mean, if he can walk away with double digits with the way Daniel Jones played last week, and you guys can say what you want about the Vikings defense. The Vikings defense is miles ahead of the Washington Commanders defense. So, Neighbors walking away double digits last week and performing well with the targets he did get.
He looked good too. He looked good too. He's the only person that looked competent on that offense.
Yeah, he's going to be a must start this week against the Washington Commanders. There's just no doubt about it. So, I don't want to say pull the trigger too fast, but you definitely sold a player high and bought a player low. I think DJ Moore will be fine. Shane's got some waiver wire questions. What's up, Shane? Warren for Tank or Madison? Tank Bigsby. I need to see more. This might be your only chance to get Alexander Madison this year, but I need to see more of it. I just can't do it. Are you ever going to trust Alexander Madison? I mean, I guess if he
never, ever trust Alexander Madison.
I just don't know. Also have Taysom Hill, so I'm going for likely. Honestly, like I'm okay with sending the house on Isaiah Likely. I'm not saying you need to spend like $100 in free agent bidding, but like if you want to put in an aggressive bid on Isaiah Likely, I'm okay with it. Tank, Madison, if you don't end up getting them, I don't think it's like going to change or end your season. I mean, unless we see Zamir White or Travis Etienne get hurt, but we can't, you can't predict that stuff. So, but yeah, Warren compared to either Warren, they're like slowly working him back in, or they're just going to roll with Najee Harris because Najee's volume was way, way higher. So, should I accept this? I get JT, I trade A-Chain. I'll say this much, Parker. It looks like going into this year, JT is less injury prone. So you could do it. Just don't forget, I mean, JT was getting drafted a few slots ahead of A-Chain for sure. So I'm okay with it. I still think the ceiling's probably higher for A-Chain, but the risk is higher for A-Chain. So if you want to, you get a better floor at JT. He might be healthier, but he could get hurt this week and A-Chain could end up playing and having 20 points. So it's just tough to say. Drop Dobbs for Robinson. I mean, it really depends on how badly you need a flex play because Demarcus Robinson won't, as much as I like him, he won't be more than a flex play for now. And Romeo Dobbs, like, you probably can't start until Jordan Mason's back. So, but I think he'll be fine. I think he still had the most targets of any Packers wide receiver. Yeah, he did. Jordan Love loves Romeo Dobbs. So it just depends. Do you think I should sell high on JMO? I mean, I'll say this much. If you have one of these players like Jameson Williams, right, where they went out and had this, like, especially because it's week 1, it's so early in the season. So people are definitely overreacting. And you just don't have anything else to go off of. We just have 1 week. So if it's week 5 and JMO has 6 points this week, then 10, then 3,
yeah.
and then 28, and you try and sell them high again, people are going to be a little bit more wary because they see that fluctuation in between. Now, I think JMO will be solid all year long, but you're still going to get some fluctuation. He's still going to be a player that you're primarily flexing and going for upside with, so I'll say this much: you want to sell him high right now and you get a really good return. I'm still okay with it. Just because I drafted a lot of JMO and talked about him a lot in the offseason doesn't mean that I don't think you guys should take advantage of the right opportunity. So, want to trade for Chase for a couple players, or is it too risky? Or do I wait till he gets? You want to wait till he gets paid? I think, and now is the time to buy low on Chase because you still got the contracting. Like, it's not really looking like it's going to be an issue, but it's still there, so it makes people think. And the Bengals looked like butt last week, so I mean, if you're going to buy him low, go ahead and do it. Yeah, it is risky, sure, but go ahead and do it. Got Schultz and Njoku. Should I trade Connor and Schultz for McBride or wait to see how week 2 goes? I mean, McBride's going to be fine. All these tight ends that were awful in week 1 will be fine. The tight end position is volatile, So it depends on your running backs. Because I also think Connor is going to be fine all year long. So, I mean, you get rid of Dalton Schultz, that might cause a lot less of a headache. I mean, at that point, if you have McBride or Njoku, when they're healthy, you're starting one of the two every week, even if they only give you 5 points. Like, at least have a starter every week that has better touchdown upside than Schultz. Should I drop Rico to pick up Bucky Irving or Wright? I have White and A-Chain. Yeah, I think in this situation you can, but once again, guys, with Rico Dowdle, I don't think he's a must drop. The volume was just a hair away from what Zeke saw. So if we see that same volume this week and Dowdle stumbles into the end zone, I mean, you might just want to get rid of the headache. That's fine, because this is going to be a really frustrating backfield from a fantasy perspective. But, some people might see Rico Dowdle score and then be like, why did I drop him, But the other options make sense for you. My wide receivers are Neighbors, Smith, Waddle, Moore, and JMO. Should I trade 2 of them and try and get a good wide receiver 1? Who should that be? Well, really, you got to look across your league at teams that have wide receiver 1s. I mean, it is a good week to buy low on a lot of wide receiver 1s. Like, CD didn't have a high ceiling. Chase didn't have a high ceiling. Amon-Ra had a dud game. It's going to be harder to get, Tyreek Hill, that guy who plays for the Vikings, players like that. But, A.J. Brown, even guys like Debo and Cup. So I do think you have really good wide receivers. I don't think you need to go out of your way to necessarily trade for one, though. JJ, should I trade Rashad White for DK? Currently have great running backs in Hall, Pacheco, and Robinson. Pittman and Drake London are my starting wide receivers, so I'm looking to improve. I mean, you can. It's a fair trade. I mean, you're still kind of selling high on White and getting Metcalf at a lower price. So I do think Metcalf will be fine this year. You definitely have the running back depth to do it, but you're also in a position where, you have 4 running backs. You can start 4 running backs all season long. I do think Pittman and London will be better as the season goes on. So you can. I don't think it's going to hurt you or kill you, but you could also hold, and I think it'd be okay. If this is a double flex league, I just start Hall, Pacheco, Bijan, and White every week and take the floor at wide receiver, although that floor is really bad in week 1 for these guys. So Crunchy 333. Any idea how much free agent bidding to spend on Brian Thomas Jr.? You got 96 to start. So you got Ayuk, Cooper, Shakir, Waddle. I mean, I would go pretty aggressive. I would be okay spending like 36. But I don't think I'd go much higher than that. And don't forget, guys, when you're entering bids and free agent bidding links, don't enter 10 or 15. Enter numbers like 17, 19, 21. And that will end up helping you. Trust me. When you end up getting a player because the other guys bet 20 and you bet 21, it feels really good. But yeah, I think it's okay to go a little aggressive there. All right, Dante, certainly happy to help. Real Gopher, what's up, man? We got James Cook, Kamara Walker. Do you drop Zamir or Javonte for Jamison Williams or Worthy? I mean, honestly, I still think Zamir White's going to be fine this year. I'm far more concerned about Javonte Williams. I would still drop Zamir and Javonte for JMO and Worthy. Like, there's just too much upside. So I think having one of these two running backs on your bench is still good. But yeah, I would rather have Cook, Kamara, Walker, JMO, and Worthy on my starting roster than or on my total roster than having Zamir or Javonte. So I think you could drop both of them and get these kind of high upside wide receivers. Okay, what's going on, man? Start Worthy or Godwin? Yeah, I'm still gonna go Godwin. Good matchup again. The Lions Bucks. I got this one circled. I like Worthy just fine. Great upside, but I'll go Godwin. Hello, Andrea. Good to see you. First priority waiver, first place, grabbing Dobbins feels like a no-brainer. Yeah, Dobbins likely the two guys I go most aggressive on. Cinnabone, what's up? I will be declining your trade offer. It's a decent offer, especially because no one cares if I talk about this, but especially because I have Derrick Henry and you're offering Justice Hill. It was not a bad offer, but I don't want it. So I need that second rounder next year. Definitely the way this team's looking. So Randon, what's up, man? Should I look to trade CMC? Have CMC, Etienne, Olave, Neighbors, McBride, Coop, Kirk, Mostert, Johnson. My team is in shambles this year. This is tough because like when CMC is healthy, you know, he's might be your savior. Might be the only thing that gets you when he wins this year. So definitely a tough week one here. Maybe for the right return, but I don't want to jump the ship on CMC. But yeah, it's a tough week one team here. Depends on what you can get, man. All right, RGQ. We've got AJ, Pittman, Flowers, Reed, Coleman, and Hollywood, Saquon, Jacobs, Ford, Najee. Who do you think I can trade? Who do you think I can trade a better wide receiver? So trade for a better wide receiver. I'm thinking Pittman and Najee. Yeah, I don't know, like based off of their week ones, exactly what you're going to get, but I think those might be two players that people are potentially looking to buy low. I would not trade Flowers, Reed, Coleman, and you're not going to get enough for Hollywood. You're obviously not trading AJ, so I would not trade Saquon, Jacobs, or Ford. So yeah, a Pittman will be fine this year. I'm not worried about him, but he's okay to trade. Just don't devalue these players too much when you go to trade them. JMO or Chris Olave, I will say Olave, I think will be fine this week. I think it's really interesting because I did mention it throughout the week. I still said to start Olave, but I did mention that the Panthers last year were good against opposing wide receivers, and for all the bad they did in this game, they still were not bad against the wide receiver position. They gave up like the big play to Shaheed, but other than that, they didn't really give up a whole lot, and they shut down Chris Olave. So they're still allowed the 13th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers last week. So, and then I will say Olave gets the Cowboys this week. So they're on the road to face the Cowboys. JMO's got the better matchup. I might send it and go JMO here, but I think Olave probably be okay. How confident would you be in starting 4 running backs? JD 5, Rice, Demarcus Robinson, Kyron, Jacobs, McBride, Mason, and A-Chain, or swap one out for Coleman and Ridley. Or Ridley. I think your starting lineup's fine. Is that Demarcus? Yeah, I think I still go Coleman over Demarcus Robinson. I mean, I like Demarcus Robinson a lot this week. So I don't know. But he does get the Cardinals, is what makes it tough. Now, I will say this. I hate Thursday night matchups. I mean, a player like A-Chain, like, yeah, you just start him, but a more like lower end tier, flex guy like Coleman, maybe I think I just leave your starting lineup how it is. But Coleman is the one guy I'd consider if there's something you don't like, Tommy. Miggs traded Etienne and Ridley for Amon-Ra and Quorum. Happy PR 14-man league. You have Cook, JT, Brian Robinson Jr. as your running backs. Needed a solid wide receiver. Yeah, I'll take this. I mean, your running backs are still fine. I still think like losing Etienne. I still think Etienne's fine, but the most valuable player, even with the week 1 dud, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got a top 5 or 6 draft pick for Ridley and Travis Etienne. And you at least
Amon-Ra better be good. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, this is fair. And yeah, I guess Ronnie Rivers the RB2 for the Rams, but maybe Quorum comes into fruition here. We'll see. Dobbins or Josh Jacobs. What's up, Elton? I think I'm going to lean Dobbins just for the Malik Willis factor here, but it is a really good matchup for Josh Jacobs. But it's a really good matchup for Dobbins too. And at least he has Justin Herbert to help him out. So, it is close, but the Panthers are the second worst team against the run going into week 2. The Colts are only 3 spots behind them, though. So, meh. Jacobs for a floor, Dobbins for upside. Would you stream Steelers or Ravens defense this week? I do like both a lot. Like, and the defensive streams and must starts try to really only go over streaming options, which wasn't great this week. But I mentioned both these teams because they both played, in theory, good offenses in week 1. So they may have been available, or you may have, I don't know, not felt good about them coming off week 1. Steelers, you probably felt good, but yeah, the Steelers are traveling to face the Broncos. The Ravens have the Raiders at home. I mean, you could really flip a coin here. Maybe I'll take the home team and the Ravens, but they both should be great. Why is Burrow playing scared? I don't know what's happening with Cincinnati, but
Zach Taylor's a bad head coach, and don't let anybody Bengals fan tell you he's a good head coach.
Yeah, that window I think was a lot smaller than a lot. I mean, the defense sucks. Defense sucked last year. It's like I will never go into a week 1 fantasy season again. Guns blazing, saying start the Bengals defense, start Joe Burrow, start Jamar Chase, start Zach Moss, start T. Higgins. We're going to light them up, boys. Trade for T. Higgins. I need to delete half my content from last week.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I mean, everyone kind of felt that way. And then as the week went on, it was kind of like, wait, this looks bad. And then it was bad.
It's always bad. Why? Don't ever bet the Bengals week 1 through 4.
All right, guys, just a reminder, about 15 minutes left. I will have to limit the streams this year for the most part. So Super Chat guarantees an answer. Other than that, I'm just going down the list, trying to get as many answered here. And maybe I'll start to go a lot less in depth and just fire through some. Ghost Hunter, what's up, man? Projections say my matchup is 50-50. The only team that outscored me last week. Wish me luck. Never worry about projections. Fake news. If projections were true, I would have beat Pete last week. So, Bamboo. Hey, fellas, would you do Amari Cooper and Higgins for Kirk and Jacobs?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, probably.
I hate Amari Cooper and T. Higgins is dead.
I am concerned about Cooper and Higgins. I'm less concerned about Kirk and Jacobs. Aaron Jones or T. Higgins. I like Aaron Jones again here on the week. I think Aaron Jones, who I didn't draft a lot of, who worried me in the offseason, might end up being a guy who I'm just going to be okay with every week. So, also, I knew I should have started Loud last week. Started Mostert, still won though. Thank God. I worry about you guys when I tell you the wrong thing. I thought Mostert was going to have a good week.
That's a tough one. That's a tough spot
That's tough
right
one.
there.
Do I start Aaron Jones or Tank Dell? I'm going to 2-flex, have Coleman, Adunze, Shakir. Do I drop one of them for Dobbins? I would drop. Is it fair to say you can drop Roma Dunze right now? I mean,
What's going on? He's out for a while, isn't he?
he's hurt. Caleb doesn't throw. I mean,
Caleb's too busy with nail polish to play
I
football, I
don't.
guess.
I think I'd rather have Dobbins, and honestly, I'd probably rather have Dobbins. And the problem with Khalil Shakir is that like you take away the touchdown, 3 targets. I think I'd keep Coleman. Whoever you like less out of Adunze and Shakir, because I do think Dobbins is worth getting. And then I say Aaron Jones for a floor, Tank Dell for upside. Dell's gonna have these weeks where he has 6 points, and then the next week where he has like 24. So, let's see. Who should I start? Pollard or Moss? Give me. I don't know. Kansas City didn't play well against the running back position.
But the Jets' run defense is horrible.
Yeah, give me Pollard. I mean, that's where I was lying. I was just thinking, but yeah, give me Pollard. I do think London will be okay. Joel.
Nope, they're bad. Kirk Cousins washed. He is favoring that right ankle really bad. Like he's really favoring that Achilles.
He was definitely not mobile. Aaron Rodgers looked more comfortable in the pocket last night than Kirk. Now, I mean, different defenses here. I mean, that I don't know if anyone's comfortable against that Steelers front seven. And credit to Pete, because last week I was not worried about the Steelers secondary, and Pete kept saying like this could really be the best defense in the league this year. And I agree that I love the front seven there, but the secondary played really well last week too. So I think let him be okay. But I'll say that this is
they're playing. If they don't do it this week, they're done. Like they're playing Philly's defense. They're horrible.
That's why I'm like keeping the faith for now. Pick Garrett Wilson first round. You think about better weeks than last night? Yes, I do. The Niners just said we got to get this guy out of the game plan. But I'm telling you,
and he still had a good week. I mean, he still was fine.
Yeah, he was still fine. And that drive where he had like 4 catches in a row or whatever, I was like, I texted one of my group chats like he's gonna have a crazy season if this keeps up. But then they just took him out of the second half. You know, the Niners did, and he will certainly have better nights. It sucked to not see a touchdown, but it's okay. Dropped Roma Dunze for JMO. Dropped Singletary for Dobbins. Both good moves. Have Kenneth. Should I pick up Charb? The handcuff? Sure, but the other 2 moves should take priority. Have Hill, MH, JMO, Neighbors. Who do I start? Need 2 wide receivers. You start Tyreek Hill. I do think MH and JMO are. These are all. I really like Malik Neighbors this week. I do really like Marvin Harrison Jr. this week too. The Rams secondary not good, but I think I'll go Hill and Neighbors. Devonta Smith over Rice or Nico. Smith's on my bench. I love all these guys. I'll say this much: Rice and Nico are the wide receiver 1, so I guess it comes down to that, but they're all fine. Do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. should bounce back this week? For sure. Mark Andrews, maybe not in a crazy way, but should be better. Reese in a tough spot. Need advice having Njoku and Hill. Do I start Hill or go grab Parkinson's? Go grab Parkinson's for now. Don't go through the headache of
Taysom.
Yeah, I mean, this was the perfect type of matchup for Taysom Hill, and he did nothing. They were using him early, and then they just like stopped. But this is the type of matchup that he should have played well in, and just it's too volatile. I'd rather have Parkinson. Would you guys trade Ken Walker, Daniels, and JJ for Brees? That's way too much. Yeah, way too much. I mean, I like Brees Hall as much as the next guy, but no, way too much. Have Mostert on my bench. Should I wait to see if A-Chain misses and if Mostert plays? Should I just drop Mostert for Charbs? I'd still hold Mostert here. You have good running backs. You don't need the handcuff. So I just stay as is. Some dude panics sold me London for Stevenson. W or L for me. Also, I picked up Mason off waivers just so my friend would see CMC is miserable. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think Stevenson's going to be really good this year. I think they're just going to continue to rely on him. It's going to be matchups that are tougher, but this is close.
Their O-line looked a lot better than I thought it was going to look, New England.
Everything looked better. I mean,
I don't know about quarterback position, wide receiver. They didn't throw the ball at all.
But still, I think Jacoby Brissett looked better than I anticipated. Like, he didn't turn the football over. So the wide receivers are maybe another story, but I think the trade's fine, but this is definitely going to be one that time will tell. Depends on your roster. Been preaching the Dobbins, hoping for months. So fun to see him get his. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys were, especially like where he went in drafts. So, credit to you guys. Like I said, leading up to week 1, I started to get this bad gut feeling like it is Dobbins. It's not Gus Bus. But I do think we'll get a good answer this week because once again, it's just another smash matchup, an even better matchup than it was last week. And now we can kind of we might see the Gus Bus come alive.
J.K. Dobbins did unholy things to Jim Harbaugh when he was at Michigan. He was at Ohio State. Like, he knows him. J.K. Dobbins' potential is through the roof. He's just been made of glass. If he's healthy, the potential is there, guys.
The upside definitely there.
Yeah, we might get lucky. He might be healthy for 17 games, and J.K. Dobbins is a top 5 rusher in the NFL this year.
I hope so. I mean, you really look at the end of draft, like running backs, there's always someone. I'm like, man, that really might be Dobbins.
I got 2 shares of Dobbins this year. I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean, you were taking him in mock drafts a lot throughout the offseason. So barely won with Amon Ra, Dud, and Catch Fam League number 1. I barely glazed over how many. I think I was pretty even this week, but I actually wonder, did I win in League 1? I think I lost to I did. I lost to J-Dubs badly.
Oh,
I started with Jordan Love, Saquon, and Dallas Goedert, so pretty good start. But Zamir White, Metcalf, Tank Dell, McLaurin, Garrett Wilson. So he had Debo and Hill and Diggs. That was basically enough. Jalen Hurts as well. So
I beat J-Dub in the auction league, so that's all that matters for us.
Yeah, I'm worried about my team in that league. So we'll see what happens.
I think that's my best team.
Should accept the new offer. What is your new offer? Gotta get points off your bench. I'm not trading you Jordan Whittingham. Isn't Jordan Whittingham on my... Is he on my taxi squad? Or is he on my active roster? He's on my... I can't trade you. Then I gotta drop someone too. And I really don't have anyone to drop in that league. I feel I need another wide receiver. We got Rice, Ridley, Coleman, Watson, and Robinson. We got Kyron, Jacobs, A-Chain, Wright, Mason, McLaughlin. Would you drop McLaughlin? Yeah, I would drop McLaughlin. Yeah, I would go for Randall. Dortch might just be a product of week 1. We'll find out. But yeah, good.
I kind of like Dortch, as I was saying.
Yeah, I don't dislike him. I think
his offense is interesting.
It is. I think the target, the volume will kind of get more spread around here between MH, Dortch, McBride, and Michael Wilson. I think it'll be more fluctuation there. I don't dislike Dortch. Not disagreeing, but yeah, I mean, you're basically going to be rolling with Kyron, Jacobs, A-Chain. I mean, that's your team. You drafted 3 running backs in a row. You drafted Kyron in the first, Tommy. So you got to live with your decision. And the fact that you have Jordan Mason right now, you should be feeling pretty good. This is your team. You're starting 4 running backs. Yeah. So you got to start Rice. I mean, don't underestimate what Rice brings to this roster. Watson takes a hit, but I think between Coleman, Watson, and some waiver wide receivers, you can survive. But yeah, I think you can go get Randall. I would honestly put in your first waiver for Randall, then your second for Dortch, especially in full PPR. All right, guys, about 5 minutes left here. If you guys need anything, get in the chat. Earlier, when I was freaking out like 10 minutes ago, I thought I was way behind in the chat, but I wasn't as behind as I thought. So it's a good news. But about 5 minutes left here. Getting what you guys need. Got offered Mike Evans. They want Collins. I think I still keep Collins. I mean, hey, if you did this trade, I do think it's pretty even. You know, I still prefer Nico Collins.
Yeah, I think the Texans are going to be better than the Buccaneers, probably.
Sure.
So, and they're about the same.
Yeah, it was a great matchup. Week 1 for the Bucs. And it's another good matchup in week 2. And Mike Evans will be very good. But throughout the whole season, I think I prefer Nico. So it's probably fine either way. But I think I prefer Nico. Heard good things about McLaughlin midseason, but I need a wide receiver. Yeah, and I think the problem is you're going to get way too much volatility out of McLaughlin. Like, yeah, he might catch 5 passes here and there. I mean, what, he had 5 targets last week? Like, but I think the Broncos offense is just a stay away for now. Even Cortland Sutton, like 12 targets, he couldn't catch any of them because they were coming from Bo Nix. So Tone Bear, team is Kyler, CMC, Kyron, Puka, Waddle, Laporta, Rice, London, Olave, Ford, Brooks, Warren, White, Dell. Targeting Mason for Warren, Lazard for White. Both are on my waivers. Any trade suggestions? I mean, your starting lineup is pretty good. You could kind of sell London or Olave low. Some people are still going to really like them, and I think they're both fine. But you have pretty good I guess, sorry, I registered Puka as a good thing. I guess it's a bad thing. So it's got Dell hanging out there. So when you could tier up with a wide receiver and try and throw Jordan Mason or Zamir White on, unless I guess you're just planning to drop White and Warren, which is okay too, I guess. I think White will be okay, but if you want to go get Lazard, that's fine. Trades are kind of tough here because like you're kind of limited with having CMC and Puka. Because that hurt. Like, you need the depth that you have. It's kind of tough. I don't know if maybe wait until waivers clear here. Tommy says, I already know a team in my league would like McLaughlin if dropped. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to drop players and they're going to get picked up. It's part of it. But I think the move that you're making to get Robinson or Dortch helps you more. So I don't think you're going to need McLaughlin to win your league. We'll come back to the stream if I'm wrong, Tommy. Rate my team. We got Lamar, JT, Singletary, Waddle, Collins, Rice, Andrews, Dak, 2 quarterback super flex. Everything looks good except for Devin Singletary. That's the glare. That's what stands out to me. He might be better this week, but
it's not good. It's not good.
I mean, if he's not good, I don't know what just happened. If he's not good this week, then you're in a big pickle. So should I start Dobbins over Bryce Young and Superflex? Yes. Yeah, I say send it, Shane. Going up against the Panthers, yeah. Or Rashad White. Honestly, I mean, I think both are fine, but I might just go Dobbins. I think he's got so much upside against the Panthers. For my flex, do I go Amari Cooper or Xavier Worthy? Brian Thomas Jr. also. Cooper's fine. Worthy gives you the upside. I think Cooper will be better this week. It's a good matchup. I think he'll bounce back. So it is a road matchup, but I think I go Cooper. You could go Brian Thomas Jr., but safest floor is Cooper. There's more upside with Worthy or B Tom. Worthy does need the touchdowns to be relevant, I'm thinking. Was going to offer a trade where I receive Diggs, he receives Dell. I feel like it's a lateral move, but I like Diggs. They both have the same target share. Completely fine, especially if you can kind of tier up in another sense elsewhere. Kirk, JMO, or Worthy in the flex. It's probably JMO for me against the Buccaneers. I like that matchup this week. Probably go JMO, Worthy, then Kirk. I do think Kirk will be okay, but and I'm not just feeding off of week one when it comes to JMO. I've been in on JMO for months now. So I do think he'll be a fine start. All right, guys, there's the hour and a half mark. So we'll go ahead and be signing off. We lost Pete. So something happened with the stream and then he's gone. So goodbye from Pete, from me officially. But guys, we have stardom sit-ems out for wide receivers and running backs, every player, every matchup. We have must-start defenses and streams out. We have waiver wire must-adds for week 2 out. Quarterbacks and tight ends, stardom sit-em will drop first thing tomorrow morning. Pete's back to say goodbye. And Pete will be dropping
power for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Crazy.
Pete will be dropping must-start kickers tomorrow. And we'll come back with some more content Thursday, Friday, Saturday, heading into Sunday. So got a full slate for you guys. Everything that you guys need heading into week 2. And we appreciate the fantasy questions. You guys hanging out tonight and talking some fantasy football. So, Pete, I already said goodbye for you, but I'll let you say goodbye officially.
Oh yeah, bye. I'm back. The power flicked off, like literally right as we're about to end. Thanks, Texas Power Grid. Good job, guys.
All right, guys, we should be back, or I should be back tomorrow for a short bit. And like I said, content coming out all week. So best way to get questions answered, going to be leaving a comment on any of the YouTube videos that come out for the week or catching one of the live streams. If you message me on Discord, send me a message on TikTok or Instagram, or you message me in the Sleeper app, I just won't respond. More than likely, you will not hear from me. So, Aaron Reborn, good to catch you here at the end. Jordan, who would you trade 12-man full PPR? Lamar, Henry, Kamara, AJ, Jameson, Kincaid, Ford, Niner. Defense, Bucker. Bench is Mason Hill, Dowdle, Bigsby, Likely, Lazard. I feel like you have every waiver option on this team. How did that end up, Jordan? You have like the waiver super team here. Perfect way to end the stream. I mean, you could tier up. Like, I don't really feel like you need to trade anyone on this team. And it looks like maybe potentially you could use wide receiver help. You don't really have. You only have 3 wide receivers. Am I seeing that right? So you could try and like package 2 running backs. Or maybe I'd probably keep both tight ends. Maybe try and package 2 running backs and get a low end wide receiver, a guy who played really bad week 1, like Christian Kirk, for example. But that's probably where you need help. Have a good night, Tommy. Is Amon-Ra and AR for Caleb and Reek good? No, I keep the Amon-Ra side for sure. And Tyreek Hill, sure, yeah, fantastic. But Caleb and AR switch is not good. No, so keep the Amon-Ra. He'll be fine. Keep the AR Amon-Ra side. Names that start with A, keep that side. All right, guys. Love you guys, man. Love the community. Love the catch fam. We'll catch you guys soon. Check out all the content for the week. If you guys need anything else, drop a comment on one of the videos, and I'll get back to you when I can. So with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And peace.